With CM Punk seemingly still scheduled for upcoming AEW appearances and more, this is Wrestling Rambles. My name is John, and you're watching the Wrestling Report. Touching on his move away from his Madcap Moss character, Riddick Moss said on Not Sam Wrestling, "I was conflicted, I would say. When I first heard the name Madcap, there was part of me that was like, well, the main event of WrestleMania is not in the picture anymore. There was a lot of people who came up to me like, just keep going, you'll get out of these suspenders." I was like, should we though? Anyone can wear wrestling trunks, but that guy in the third row is dressing up like Madcap. Riddick is a cool name. I like Riddick. I chose it, but there is Riddick Bowe. There are the Riddick movies. You don't really hear Madcap. Easy to say once you get it. Some people think Mad Cat at first, but once you get past that, I was a bit conflicted on it. Even going away from the suspenders, turning babyface, I was not convinced. In NXT, I always worked heel. On the main roster, I always worked heel. I won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal the week before, and they were not happy about that. I gave a speech and was booed the whole time. The next week, Corbin was going to turn on me and Madcap as a babyface. I think there's a 50-50 chance they'll cheer Corbin. I should have known better because Corbin is so good. I give Corbin a lot of credit, and Vince McMahon had a few key points in that segment that he thought were important for us to hit that would help the crowd understand what we were going. Before we even started the turn, they were chanting Madcap Moss. I couldn't believe it. It worked really well, and credit to Corbin and Vince. Speaking about the potential pay-per-view buys for AEW's All-In event in London over the weekend, Dave Meltzer said on Wrestling Observer Radio, "I'm waiting for tomorrow to get more up-to-date numbers, but they're really good, especially when you consider there's a lot of factors. But I mean, it will easily be the biggest of the year, which I don't think will surprise anyone. I don't think it will be the biggest of all time. It's not impossible because there could be a lot of late buys. It's going to end up the biggest that they've ever done." As Jim Ross is currently negotiating with AEW regarding a new contract, he addressed his situation with the company on his Grilling JR podcast. "I'm 71 years old. I can't do this forever. I feel like my work is pretty decent right now. My voice is strong. I don't want to sit at home, but it takes two to tango. Like I said, I don't know what the expectations are of me in an AEW world. I said before, and I'll stick with the same story because it's true, and that is, it's up to Tony Khan in large part and Barry Bloom, who's my agent. Barry Bloom represents the Young Bucks. I think Hangman Page, Kenny Omega. I think he represents Don Callis, who's doing a good job. I have fun with Don calling him a miserable prick, but he kind of likes it and fits him. He's done a good job as a heel manager. Barry represents a lot of guys, which means to me that Barry has good communication with AEW. Now, whether we get a deal done or we don't get a deal done in time, remains to be seen, and if it works out, then I'm in, and if it doesn't work out, I'm out. It's that simple. I'm not being nonchalant or cavalier about it. It's just, that's the reality. I've negotiated too many contracts to know how these things can or cannot work, but hopefully it'll work out well. That's what I want. I want to stay there. We'll just have to wait and see. I mean, I'm not being flippant, and I'm serious about it, but I can't wave a magic wand and say, okay, here's my deal and here's what I will do. I haven't made any demands at all, but I like the challenge of building Collision into a good show, a watchable show. I also think it'll be a short negotiation. I'm very signable right now in that regard, so we'll see. I'm optimistic it's going to work out okay, but if it doesn't, then you'll be seeing me more on the autograph circuit and things of that nature. You never know what else might pop up. So I'm just, as Minnie Pearl would say, I'm just proud to be here. Sharing memories of the late Bray Wyatt, AJ Styles said this in a video on WWE's YouTube channel. "All I can tell you is what I know about Wyndham Bray Wyatt. Amazing character. The thing that he was able to do is unbelievable. Every direction, it was just, I know that while I was in Japan watching the Wyatt family, I was thinking, how could I be in this family? How could I find a way to be a part of this crew? Because it was so awesome. And Wyndham did such a great job with Bray Wyatt. It's unbelievable. The places that he took this character couldn't be done by anybody else." With it previously noted that Bobby Roode has been producing matches for WWE, an update on his status was given as it was said that Bobby Roode has been recovering from neck injury that required surgery, so he's not able to wrestle. In the meantime, he's picked up a job backstage as a producer for WWE. As we previously reported, Akira Tozawa versus JD McDonough wrestled for the main event tapings before Raw. This was newsworthy because Bobby Roode produced that match by himself. He was previously shadowing and co-producing segments and matches. Ringside News reached out to confirm Bobby Roode's current WWE status. A tenured member of the team told us that Roode seems to still be just learning the ropes of producing. It was noted that producing a main event match on his own is next on the way up to full-time. At this time, there is no word that Bobby Roode has a full-time permanent job just yet as a WWE producer. Explaining why Kenny Omega was not at AEW Dynamite last night, Ringside News wrote that AEW brought the Dynamite after all in London and the company had a few changes to make. Saraya and Swerve Scott were both sick this week, and it seems that other stars including Kenny Omega had travel nightmares that prevented them from making the trip to Chicago. Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that Kenny Omega was scheduled to be at AEW Dynamite this week, but he couldn't make it. The weather was against the cleaner from making it to Chicago. Meltzer noted that a lot of the Florida guys, including Kenny Omega, had trouble making flights due to Hurricane Idalia. That hurricane is still making its way up the coast, but it's diminishing as it goes. It was noted that AEW Dynamite was thrown together this week. Even Tony Khan admitted before the show that they were having problems putting the show together. Mentioning the WWE Women's Champion Iyo Sky, former WCW star Conan said this about her on his Keeping It 100 podcast. She has no charisma, and I'm into her storyline now. Well, I was into it because she just cashed in that Money in the Bank thing, but they are separating her and Bayley, and it's kind of funny how her and Bayley were going back and forth and doing one-upsmanship. But yeah, she's not an interesting character whatsoever. She hasn't been interesting to me on viewing that show, period. Given the wildfires in Maui, The Rock and Oprah have teamed up to start a People's Fund for those affected. Here's the video.
We were so concerned about what was happening in Maui that we were texting back and forth. And I read this article that Dolly Parton had given money in her community. And I said, I think this is the answer. You said, I think that's the answer.
I said, I love it.
And so we have created the People's Fund of Maui that will put money directly in the hands of the people who need it right now. So if you send a donation, just click where you see below and send a donation. That money is going to go to one of many residents who have been displaced in Maui. We guarantee.
That's right. I know a lot of people out there, as Oprah and I have been finding, are just having a hard time trusting where the money goes. What organizations should I send money to? How can I help? In this case, the fund that we created with a lot of hard work from a lot of hardworking people who all care about these people of Maui. As Oprah was saying, it is a clean, direct from you directly to their hands and right away with some real immediacy, because as we're finding, as you guys around the world know, with disasters like this, the number one need is money.
Is money.
In hand.
And so people being able to have their own agency, being able to make decisions for themselves about what they need and what their family needs, that's our goal, is to get that to the people now. And so we appreciate any support that you can give. All the people who were calling me and texting me and messaging me and saying, what do I do? What do I do? This is what you do.
You know.
The People's Fund of Maui.
With him recently having a match for AEW against Jack Perry, Rob Van Dam said this about future appearances for WWE, noting on his one-of-a-kind podcast, "Maybe I'd show you if I was doing a WWE Tour WrestleMania weekend, but I have good reason to believe that might be canceled because of a recent appearance I might have done with permission for a different company." After receiving the Cauliflower Alley Club Iron Mike Mazurki Award, CM Punk would give a speech where he noted this: "When people tell me that they don't like me or that the internet is mad at me, I just chuckle because Roddy Piper liked me, Dusty Rhodes liked me, and Harley Race liked me. And that means more than anything else in the world because these legends put their stamp on me before anyone else did. It gave me the confidence and it gave me the ability to succeed." Despite recently being suspended from AEW following his physical altercation backstage with Jack Perry, it looks like CM Punk still has dates for the company being advertised, as Ringside News wrote that both CM Punk and Jack Perry have been suspended from AEW amid an investigation into the matter. Despite this, Punk is featured front and center in promotional material for upcoming Collision tapings. In a series of tweets posted after what transpired at All In, Punk is promoted for the October 28th show in Uncasville, Connecticut, as well as on the November 4th taping in Wichita, Kansas. He might not make that show, but this could also add more proof that nobody knows what the future holds for this situation. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all later.